counting
the cost of masters and a PhD on a scholarship basis.
wow. So you didn't pay a penny for your masters and PhDs?
No, not at all.
Wow,
Thanks to God.
that's amazing. I mean, when I was getting bachelor's, I got scholarship. I don't know, twice or something. I got the second place, or I got the third place or fourth place or something. I got a deduction, but I didn't get the full scholarship ever.
Mm-hmm.
So how did that start?
How did this? From the masters, you assume? Yes. Yeah. So I would say I managed to finish my undergraduate, then went ahead to do. Oh, the first thing I got was like I got a job in an oil and gas company. So I was working there, and in the process of working there, that's when the first scholarship came about. It was a government funded scholarship where the company wanted me to go and study further. Like now, with regard to oil and gas, now, like to find a specialized field so that I can go study on it, then come back and work now in the company as a specialist. So that's how the first scholarship came about. And it came about with a job offer actually. Like when they offered me the job, because I was currently working in another company, but the offer came about in the sense that we are giving you this job, but in addition, we want to give you a scholarship to go and study first and then come back and start working. So I was like, okay, then this is good enough for me to leave my current company and come work. Because at that time, I never thought of doing a master's. After finishing my undergraduate, I was happy that a graduate. I was ready to start working. Because I came back from a background of where life wasn't so easy. So we had to struggle a lot with a lot of things. So by the time I was done with my undergraduate, which was a struggle as well, because my brother had to help me pay a lot of the fees and accommodation and all that. So by that point, I was really ready to start working and start making money to take care of myself and my family as well. So the master's came, I was like, okay, then maybe I can study some more. It's for free. So good.
Wow. So you finished your bachelor's for your education in Kenya, and then you were working for a company, and the company said, okay, study more, go somewhere else, get more training, and then come back and work for us. And
Yes.
so it was a specialized industry or something. So you would be able to learn more things about that area of work.
Yeah.
So obviously your brother kept supporting you financially all the way up to bachelor's degree. So
bachelor's degree.
So you were more motivated to work and make your own money for your own life.
Exactly.
I see. So what happened to your parents? How come your brother was supporting you? I guess I mean because many parents in Korea pay for college education here, so I'm wondering.
Yeah, I know. I've seen that a lot here. Like it's a big thing, but also in Kenya it's the same thing. Like many parents will support.
I see.
My case, unfortunately, they passed away. They passed away in 2005 when I was still in high school, the third year of my high school. Which I would say was the most difficult year of my life so far, because I lost my dad in January of 2005. Then my mom later passed on the same year in September. So it was a very, very tough year for all of us, for myself, my siblings, the entire family at large. Yeah, it was a really tough year. So from that, my brother had to basically be the parents to us. We have four of us in our family, two elder brothers and one younger sister. So my eldest brother Evans he was in college at that time. So he had to drop out and seek ways to make money, like do all sorts of odd jobs, find a way for us to survive, find a way for us to eat, to pay rent. So we moved in a much smaller, like a one-room apartment, very tiny room, just me and him. Our second born was at that time was in university. So I was living in dormitory there. Then my mom's sister took my baby sister, like take care of her because they're thinking she's a girl, she'll struggle a lot. It wasn't the right environment to raise a girl. No parents, the neighborhood wasn't the best of place to raise a child to start with. It was a really rough area. So yeah. So that's how me and my brother started to live together, the two of us there, and decided to support us. So he said like education is the only thing you have left now. My parents have passed away. We can't go around depending, asking for jobs here and there. So you have to find a way to get out of this neighborhood to make a life for yourself. And as our parents used to teach us, education was the best way out, or rather the easiest way out. I remember my dad used to tell me that education is a long-term insurance. He used to work in the insurance company, so it was like you might not get a job now, but the knowledge you have, you'll always have it with you. So something along might happen along the line. At one point, you study too much to the point that companies will be looking for you. Opportunities will be chasing you, not the other way around. But by that time, I was young. I was a child, so I was like, okay, like you just do what your parents tell you to do. You study, and that's all. So my performance in school, of course, that year dipped very much. It was the worst that I performed that year, which affected me a lot due to what I'd gone through. But I had very great supportive friends in my high school, very nice friends. So until today, we are super close with all of them. So yeah, so that's when my brother took charge of us, and ever since he's been taking care of us. He helped us move from that stage. I went to university. He supported me through it all. Then luckily I got the job. Then I got the masters. Then here I am.
Wow. So the deaths of your both of your parents were like 8 months apart, January and September.
Yeah,
And who passed away first?
my dad.
Your dad passed away, and how? Do you remember how your mom was handling
Yeah, it
for 8 months?
was really, really tough on her because she tried her best to give us the same life we had when my dad was there. And of course, it was not an easy thing for her to do as a single parent. They had lived together for many years since I think 1982. That's when they got married. So it was a really tough period for her trying to raise us because all of us were in school. So just the fees alone was too much. Then trying to maintain the same life we used to live so that we don't feel the void that our dad left was so hard for her. And I would say it was even harder for me because I was in high school at that time, which in Kenya most people go to boarding schools. So I was not really at home like to be with her during that year because in a year, if you're in a boarding school, you'll only be at home 3 months in a year. Like you're in school 3 months, you break 1 month, in school another 3 months, you break 1 month. So in a year, cumulatively, I was only at home for 3 months. So that's not really enough time to be with her, to spend time with her. So in hindsight, I would say like being in boarding school at that time really affected me a lot because I missed a lot of the time that I should have been home during our last few months, year and a half. So yeah, that was really tough. And of course, majority of the stories I heard from my siblings, like for example, how everything happened leading to their passing away. So yeah, it was a really tough time for her.
Did both of them pass away from diseases or something?
Yeah, my dad from cancer. Then my mom had heart conditions later on.
Your mom heart?
Yeah,
Oh, wow. So one had cancer and one had heart problem.
yeah.
Wow. So what did your brother do? You said odd jobs.
Yeah, all jobs like I've said literally anything. He did some paint jobs, make money. He tries construction. In Kenya you can go to these companies, like the way we have it in Korea, like people go to factories, you work for the day, you get paid for the day. Because at that time he had not finished he was doing pharmacy, so he had not graduated to the point like he ends up getting like a full-time job as a pharmacist, which he eventually did in a mission hospital run by Germans, but he's made specifically to support people within the slum area. So like it's I would say a free hospital, free healthcare for the people living in the slum. So that's where he started, being paid very little, and that's how he grew his career there. And up until now, he's still working there, a really nice hospital.
Wow. So now he's a pharmacist working for a German company
Yeah, yeah,
that
a
is
German hospital.
German hospital that is working for the slum, the poor people area.
Yeah,
But before he became a pharmacist, he was like painting and he was transporting people. That's how he was making a living for you guys.
yeah, like it was more to do like on a day to day, like trying to raise money on a day to day basis.
So he pretty
Because
much did.
that's the jobs you only get paid, for example, at the end of the day or at the end of the week.
Wow.
And it's not much you're being paid. Maybe you might be paid, or maybe $2, $3 per day.
Wow.
Not much.
How many siblings?
We are four of us.
Wow. So this college kid was working hard to support his siblings.
Yeah.
So, so do you remember his face when your mother passed away? Like, how did he handle it? Because now the burden is on him. Do you remember his emotion?
I wouldn't really say he's not a person who will really show much emotion because I think at that point what he insisted to us was because you see in many families when such a thing happens, the relatives might try to split the children up. Like say maybe this son will live with this auntie or uncle, this one will live with this.
Ah,
So
okay.
that they try to divide the burden in the family. But for him, he told us like our mom's last wish was for us to stay together,
Wow.
for us to stay united. Like no matter what, whether we have food or we don't have, we have to remain as
Together.
a youth. We have to figure it out. And he took that role. He took that role to take care of us. Like I didn't have to drop out of school to do anything, or my other sibling, or my sister. My sister, yes, was taken by my aunties, but for the rest of us, he was like, he'll just do it on his own. He had to put that brave face, like, everything will be fine. We've been through a lot in life, we've had challenges. We didn't grow up with much in life. The little we had, like, growing up in the slum, it was enough. We were happy. You know, that's the thing. When you don't know much about the other side of the world, you always feel like whatever you have is all you need to have. So you are very happy. Now that I've traveled the different parts of the world, I've seen different cultures, how people live, how people do things. Like if I'm to take a kid, for example, in Korea and put them in my situation back home, I don't know if they'll ever survive. But when I was back there, that's all I knew. I never knew about any other thing. So we were happy with the match we had. We just kept on going with life.
So the youngest sister was taken care of by your aunt,
Yeah, yeah.
and you had another sister, right?
No, just one sister and two elder brothers.
two elder brothers.
Yeah.
So you're the youngest out of three that stayed together, and the other one was taken care by the aunt. You had another uh, brother. Did he also work?
No, my other brother just joined university,
Oh, I
so
see.
his course there. Yeah. So he was fine living in the university dormitory, and because in Kenya, again, once you're in university, you're eligible to apply for government loans. So that at least can help you manage life within the campus.
Oh, I see. So,
But you have to pay it back anyway at some point.
oh, so so second older brother went to university and then he got the government loan, and
Yeah.
pretty much your elder brother was making money for your schooling and for your life and the living expenses of your second brother.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And probably he was also sending money over to the youngest sister.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, yeah. Checking care, paying up on her, traveling to visit her.
That's so much work.
It is, I would say it's the best blessing that we got from all that we faced, having him as our eldest brother. Because I don't know many people in this world who can take up such a role and do it
Wow.
in the way he did it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, I drank
Don't
so much.
forever indebted in him.
Wow, that's awesome. You have a very sacrificial, very responsible elder brother. Hey, I drank so much water. Let me go to the bathroom. Come.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. It's okay.
So, how long did your brother work for you guys?
Work for us, what do you mean?
How did your elder brother support you guys?
How long?
Yeah, how many years?
I would say until today.
Oh, up to now?
Yeah, like if any of us is in trouble or we need something, we still always look up to him, like to support us. So he's always been there, ready and waiting, even to deny himself for us to be able to be fully supported. Because remember, I'm still, despite having a scholarship, I'm still like in school. I'm not really working per se. So it's still the same. He's still always ready. He says if you run into trouble there in Korea, you need some extra money, just let me know.
Wow,
He's never stopped. He's never stopped.
So how many years has it been then since he began to support you?
How many years? Since let me say 2005 till now, to almost 16 years.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, almost 16 years.
So he's taking care of all his siblings, all three of them.
Yeah. Any of us, whenever we have a problem, challenge, he's always there ready.
So do three of you like talk to him like you would talk to your parents, like when you have problems and when you need wisdom?
Yeah, yeah. He has been my closest friend for the longest time. Because, like I told you, when that thing happened, I ended up living with him because my two other siblings were like my brother in school, my sister, my aunts. So I lived with him for the longest time, and we developed a very strong bond until today. Like I was able to share with him anything personal. He'll do the same. Like he'll share with me about his challenges, his life.
Wow.
But everything. We are 7 years apart. But yeah, 6 years, almost 7 years, I would say. But we are very close. You'll think like we are 1 year or 2 years apart.
Wow.
That's how close we are. Yeah.
That's
We
amazing.
talk almost on a daily, weekly. Like anytime I need to talk to him, I know he's always there, ready to listen, and the reverse.
Wow, that's amazing. I have to. I mean, I call my brother all the time, but my brother doesn't really call me, so it's like he's a pastor. He's very busy, so some siblings are very close to each other, and
Mm-hmm.
it's always a mystery how that works because I mean he answers everybody else's phone call, but not mine. He's too busy
Uh,
working as a pastor, starting other people business. But wow, that's really amazing. Um, so the way your brother related to you before the death of your parents, and the way you related to him, did it make a difference since the departure of your parents?
I think after the departure, our bond became stronger.
Okay.
Because when you were young, I would say in the family I was most close to my mom. Used to talk a lot, used to share a lot with my mom. But after their departure, that's when my bond with him became much closer, I would say, because that's when we were really just for a very long amount of time, just the two of us.
Wow.
So every day he'd come home, he'd ask how I'd been, and ask how it's been. He taught me like his own who taught me how to cook. Yeah, because when my parents were still there, it's my mom who used to do all the cooking for us. So after that, he was the one doing all the cooking, all the laundry, all the cleaning the house. He used to do it all for me still. But it got to a point I was like, no, it's too much. He's working and he still wants to do all these things for me. So I learned them. Like I had to learn it all from him, trial and error. To the point because after that, going, for example, to university, I now had to start taking care of myself, like to cook for myself, to plan my day-to-day schedule. Because from then on, I was just living on my own wherever I am. When I went for my master's, when I came here. So majority of the time I'm alone, so I have to do everything, which I all learned from the time we shared with them, the time we lived together. So yeah, our bond was much stronger after.
Wow. So your dad was working for the insurance company, and he encouraged you to pursue educations because it will be the insurance for the rest of your life. The knowledge will stay with you, and the mother was cooking and giving that emotional support when she was around. And then
Mm.
your brother was able to fill the gap of both parents by making money and being there for emotional support,
Mhm.
and also the practical training at the home duty for the home duties and chores and everything. And then after you left his nest, your brother, you were able to do all those things on your own.
Yeah, but my mom also played a very big uh, part in my education journey. I would say because she came from a family where education was very, very vital. She was a nurse herself, and her dad was a doctor. He was one of the first doctors in the region back in Kenya. Where,
Oh.
yeah. So he was a very well educated man. He passed away, was it like 2 years ago? 2 3 years ago? He lived up to almost 100 years.
Wow.
Very, very brilliant guy. He was a doctor and a pastor.
Wow.
Yeah, through him and my grandma, we learned so much. We learned so much. Every time we went to Kenya, I always had to go to them. Every interview I did, even when I was abroad, I always had to call my grandparents to pray for me. Prayer was like my mom came from a very prayerful family, being the dad was a pastor, and same as my dad's side of the family too. The grandparents, they all came from uh, like in Kenya. SDS started in our area, like our hometown. I would
Wow.
say Koreans call it hometown,
Okay.
called Indo Bay. That's the first point of contact of Adventists in Kenya. So they're
Wow.
very deep rooted in religion and Adventist practices and all that.
Wow.
So they channel the same through their children and all that. So that's
Wow.
how the same thing I was able to get it from my parents because their parents were pastors, and for example, my mom's side of the family, the dad was a doctor as well. So he really fostered education being very fundamental part in all their siblings. They all pushed like you have to study. And a number of them even studied abroad. They went to do the undergraduate abroad, the masters abroad. So my mom came from that family where you have to be, you're pushed to study, study, study. So she tried and did the same to us, and the grandparents also doing the same to us. Because when my parents passed, we looked up to my brother one and also our grandparents, like to continue pushing us through it. Prayer, education. In every stage of life that we went through, we had to make that call to them. And ever since they passed away, my grandma first, then my granddad, we feel like our life became so empty afterwards.
Wow.
When going back to our hometown feels so empty because they left a very big void in the family.
Wow.
Because whenever we used to go to Kenya, the first thing we think of going back home first to see them, the grandparents, going to talk with them, because they lived for a long time. My mom's parents are very long. And they're always ready to pick up the call. What interview are you going for? Okay, let me pray for you. What are you doing? Let me do this. So it was a very critical aspect to my journey to where I am today.
So your grandparents were there for your religious, emotional, familial influence and training and support,
Mm-hmm.
and your desire to be more educated, to get more degrees, came from that also background. So how old were you when he passed away?
How old was I?
Mm.
When Grandpa passed away, I was, let me,
I've never
I
thought
was
about it probably.
29.
Oh, 29.
Yeah.
Oh, so he passed away after your parents passed away?
Yeah, way, way after.
Really?
Yeah, because he passed away just 2 years ago.
Wow.
2 years ago.
Wow.
Mm.
Do you remember how he felt about your parents dying?
Yeah, it really affected them for a long time. Because they used to tell us how it's very hard for a parent to bury a
Yeah.
child.
Yeah.
So that really affects them for a long time because they always believe that the children should outlive the parents.
Yeah.
But in this case, it was the opposite.
Wow.
So it really, really affects them. But they're like, we're still here. We are your grandparents, but you're also your parents. Like they held the bigger family unit together.
Wow.
And since they passed away, there is the void, the world is felt till today.
Wow.
Like there's a missing link,
Wow.
connecting link missing here.
Let me divert a little bit. So when my father passed away when I was in high school, also,
Mm-hmm.
I was determined to live long because I don't want to be a dead parent for my own children, future children.
Yeah.
So your grandfather lived long and your parents passed away earlier. So what's your takeaway from that experience? Because in my understanding, my dad worked too much and he didn't have time with us.
Mm-hmm.
And also, as you experience, boarding school doesn't really allow children to spend too much time with their parents. And so my take for education and for living longevity is don't work too much, enjoy your life, spend time with your family as much as possible, and I would like to homeschool my child in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the lesson I learned. What did you learn from that experience in terms of living longer and living a healthy life and having this home and work balance?
I will say I mirror what you just said, the parts whereby you should always try your best to spend as much time as possible with their loved ones because you just never know. Because for me, growing up, I'd say not had, of course, like a neighbor has passed away, like an aunt, an uncle has passed away, a grandparent. I'd seen and heard all that, but it never crossed my mind that it will happen to us.
Yeah.
I never, I, I never saw that coming at any point. Even the first time, like my uncle and my brother came to my high school to give me the news, like to take me from school and tell me what happened. I was really shocked. I still remember that moment till today because I couldn't believe that that really happened to us. I was maybe oblivious that, oh, they live, for as long as it takes, for many, many years. But that's the reality. You just don't know what will happen the next day. So it's always good to try our best to spend as much time as possible with the people we love, the people we care about. And we just don't know what will happen the next day. Our lives are in God's hand. And with regard to a healthy life, a balanced life, yes, I would say for my grandparents, living in the village maybe sort of helped them as well because they farm their own food.
Oh.
So much time outdoors, of course, in the sun, spending time in nature.
Oh.
You don't have that much pressure. And I sort of went through that phase in life between my university, like my bachelor's and my master's. In between there, I was a farmer. I was once a farmer.
Oh.
Yeah, because I tried looking for a job like immediately after graduating and I didn't get any job. So I decided, let me move to the village. And everyone back home wondering what's wrong with me. Have I gone crazy? You just got a first class in industrial chemistry. What are you doing in the village? You should be in the city. Everyone in the village dreams to go to the city to go and work. But for you, after getting all this qualification, you're moving back to the village. So it really confused them. But for me, I was like, I need to do something with my life. I've depended on my brother for far too long. I need to do something. And I just went to the internet. I never learned about farming in school. So I just Googled and saw, okay, I can raise poultry. I can start a greenhouse. So my brother supported me to set up the structures. Then I told him I'll do the rest. I went home all alone in the farm and I just started farming. I did it for quite a long time, like a year or so. And it was it was one of the best moments in my life, I would say. Because it's a very simple life, not too much technology. So the amount of stress is very, very minimal. I farm my own food because I had tomatoes, I had capsicums there, which you call peppers. I had onions, I had watermelon. We had all these different sorts of fruits. We had passion fruit, we had papaya fruits, bananas. So with all these things, you have maize, which you can mill and make your flour. So with all these things, you eat a very clean diet. You have very minimal stress. You are happy because people around you are generally happy. And I was able to support them by whatever I farm. I sell it at a very low rate to support them because the whole aim was to try and do something to support the community around me. So yeah, living a life where you're doing what you love, one, and you're in nature doing it is a very fulfilling life, I'll say.
Wow.
Compared to this non-stop pressure after pressure, working, for example, here in Korea, day-to-day life in the lab, trying to get results. It's a very different life. Too much stress.
So I guess that's where your priorities are: family time, agrarian life, country living, growing your own food, eating what you
Definitely.
grow. So, so, so when did you farm after your bachelor's degree?
After my bachelor's, yeah.
So after you finish your college education, you
Yeah.
came back to your hometown which
Yeah,
shocked everybody because you're supposed to go somewhere else and make more money, and then you
yeah.
were starting your own business
Hmm.
by farming, and then you were very happy. Your brother helped with it, and then you began to work for a company, and then they gave you scholarship so you could study in England for your master's, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So how was your experience over there? As you were studying for 1 year?
1 year. My master was in 1 year. I did petroleum geochemistry in Newcastle, England. Yeah, it was a different experience. I would say, luckily, we went there. We were six of us, like Kenyans from the same company. We were supported to go there. So that made, I would say, it made life easier because we had like a small Kenyan community within ourselves. So we are in class even when we have to make group like do group projects. We'll end up doing it together. So sometimes the professor will have to try and split us up because maybe we'll be discussing in our local language even. So try and split us up. Hey, you stay here and you mix with this. It was a very interesting time, but I did learn a lot. It was my first time living abroad. It was a very different culture from what I was used to. The food, the systems there are very, very efficient system. Felt a bit of racism now and here and there, but not so much directed to you. But you just feel it, the what you call, I don't know, micro microaggressions. So it was, in a whole, it was a very wonderful experience because I met one of the best professors I've ever had in my life. He really mentored me and helped me through it all, supported me through. It was a nice time. I travel quite a bit. I love football, so I was able to watch the Premier League there, a number of
Oh.
years, which was like a dream come true. Being able to go to those football stadiums, just watch them in the TV. Like I never imagined in my life that I will ever be on a plane at one point in my life, but there I was in a different country watching something which I never imagined I'd ever do. So it was a very exciting experience. It was 1 year, very short, very intense, but any breaks we got over the weekend, so Easter or Christmas, we maximized them. So that
Wow.
could make,
So,
yeah,
so a small clan, small tribe of 6 Kenyans went there to study and support one another,
yeah,
studying
yeah,
together,
that's
doing
right.
project
Actually,
together.
if I'd gone alone, I think the experience would have been very different. Definitely harder to start with, like knowing your things around. But being in a group helps. If you get lost as a group. You do things as a group. You try things as a group. So that really helped.
Wow. So pretty much it was the community. It was a bond that kept you
Yeah,
through.
yeah,
You're
that,
struggling in Kenya, in England, and there was also a nice professor. You enjoyed the football game, the
mm,
soccer game. So, and you also saw the system was more efficient. You
very.
also experienced a little bit of minor racism. So, what was that like? Racism? Like, what do you mean by like minor, like indirect?
Indirect where, for example, there are certain places you'll not be allowed to go in, and they tell you maybe it's because you're coming in a group, but then you see another bigger group of white group, for example, being allowed in, or maybe you're told the way you're not wearing the right shoes to go in, or maybe
Ah.
just people, like for example, some people in school wondering like, how do you know that? Like, how did you solve that problem? Or where did you learn English? Like you colonized us to start with, so of course we learned your language from school and all that. So there are these small, tiny moments which, yeah,
Oh, I see.
one of the best, one of the best. Yeah.
So they were making excuses as to why you weren't allowed to go into restaurants, and they were underestimating your ability.
Our ability to do things. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Mm.
Wow. So, um, how was the soccer game? Was it pretty like? Are they really good?
Really, really good. The best really. Especially with the stadium full, like 50, 60, 70,000 people. It's a whole different thing.
Wow.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
You know, some Korean players are playing there. Do you see any African players playing there over there?
In
In
UK?
Premier, yeah, Premier League.
Yeah. There are a number of African players playing here.
Mm. Oh, I see. Wow. So, how many times did you go there?
Football stadium, so maybe 5 times.
5 times.
Just 5 times, yeah. They're pretty expensive though.
Oh, it was expensive. How much did you pay for that?
It was around £40.
30 pounds.
We were lucky we were getting it at student rate
Mm.
because my university was playing in the Premier League, like the Newcastle United.
Oh.
So we were able to get lower rates, like to go to that stadium. So whenever any of these big teams come to play there, we always use that opportunity to go and watch the games there.
Probably your brother was sending money over there so you can like
No,
enjoy your life. No.
No, for that, luckily the scholarship was a very good scholarship. So it was
Ah.
able to make up for all the tuition fees and my living expenses there.
Really?
Yeah, it was a very good scholarship.
Wow, that's awesome. So, what made you eligible to get that?
To get there, like just applying for the job, because the job came as a package. Like you get the job, then you get the training as part of the job. So it was a very competitive. We were hired. How many were we? Around 40 people. But when we started the first interview, we were in our thousands. Yeah, there was so many people because
Wow.
it's a big company, so many people applied for it. So we went through. How many interviews did I do? We did like around 4 or 5 interviews. So they kept chopping.
Wow, I didn't know you're such a genius. Out of 1,000 people, 6 people got in. 40 people got in, and 6 people came from Kenya.
No. This is a Kenyan company.
Oh, it's a Kenyan company. Okay.
Yeah. It's a Kenyan company which gave us the scholarship to go there. So within the 40 of us, 6 of us went to one university.
Ah, so out of 1,040 people got the opportunity.
Yeah, like to be in the job. I would say it was more than 1,000 applicants started the first interview because we went in batches doing aptitude testing and all that.
Wow. So what
chopping until yeah.
So what do you think the qualities they were looking for at the time?
I don't know. One, definitely the course that I did because it was a chemistry related post. So I think the course played a part. Then the grades, of course, will play a part.
Ah.
And then the university, maybe because it was a big university that I came from. Then I had done an internship in an oil and gas company prior to that. So I think that also played a role.
Ah.
Not just the different interviews, how you perform in them. Because some are aptitude testing, whereby that's just depending on the person's skill and quality. So if you pass it, you're in. If you fail it, you're out. So those are like the screening stages. So it helps to reduce the number. Until finally you do the one-on-one interview. Yeah. Most jobs in Kenya, I would say, most graduate jobs in Kenya go through the same sort of process. And I think even maybe Korea is the same,
Yeah.
where you do some aptitude testing, then you go another stage. You keep reducing the numbers until finally they get who they are. And I'll say definitely coming from, like I told you, like a prayerful family. So that played the biggest role, I believe. Making that call to my grandpa, hey, I have this interview.
So you had good GPA, you had internship that was just right for the next job.
The next job, yeah.
And you had that family upbringing where education was valued very much and you were more motivated to excel.
Yeah.
I see. So this is my last question. So when you're doing PhD in Korea for 4 years, right?
Yeah, for 4 years.
What do you think you learned here, and is that going to help you for your future endeavor when you go to the UK?
PhD is a long story.
Yeah.
It's I would say after losing my parents, this has been the second most challenging time in my life. Been a very stressful time coming to a country where you know nothing about. I knew no one here when I came. I didn't know the language when I came. So it was just being thrown into the deep end and told, there you are, you have to swim. Yeah, but luckily I had a very supportive family. Like my wife Sarah, you've met her. Her family, her mom really supported me a lot through my journey here. From the moment I came, because remember, I got married, then 1 week after, I was here. I was in Korea.
Oh.
That's first my love. The transition was getting married, then a week after, on a plane to Korea, a country I know nothing. So my wife, my family really supported me a lot through this journey. It was really hard to start with, like finding my ways to move around. Trying to take a taxi and you don't speak the language. I remember my brother-in-law came with me when I came here, like the first week. I traveled like 2 days, then he traveled 2 days after because he was worried, how am I going to survive there? I'm alone. So Sarah's mom was like, go and help him out. So he came here, we tried to figure a way out, we find a house. He left me when I was much settled. So that's how my journey now started. It was hard at first, but along the way I met some really good friends. I met you guys. I found a really supportive church as well, like my church friends. I was able to do a lot of outdoor activities, like and I feel like all these things contributed to me being able to be successful in my PhD. Because my first year was just fully focused on the lab. I was in the lab like the whole week, no breaks. I didn't know people at that point. So it was really, really tough having to be on calls with my wife over Skype. It was really hard on both of us. But over time, then I started knowing people, like making friends. And I started doing outdoor activities, which helped me now to have that balance that you're talking about, the work-life balance. And I was able to just, on Friday, whatever is remaining in the lab, I leave it there. Saturday, Sunday, I'm out. I'm in church with my friends. The next day, I'm out biking or hiking or walking or doing something. So all that helped me now start to have a much balanced life. Then the latter 2 years of my life here, my wife now made a huge sacrifice, of course. She stopped working, she took time off work and came here to support me. So that helped a lot as well. Because she was here, like I'm in school, I come back home and find this food now. But before it was different. Before I was just coming home and wondering, what am I going to eat? Maybe just make rice, so just have tea and sleep. And I was coming home maybe at 1 a.m., at 12, midnight every day. Sometimes I'm too tired to do anything. But coming home, you have someone to support you to help you through it. Really helps.
Wow. So
Yeah,
there was a support of Sarah's family, church family, Sarah
yeah.
herself sacrificing coming over here, spending time with you,
Mm-hmm.
and church group on Saturday, Sunday, hang out in nature, outdoor
Yeah,
activities, and exercising. Everything helped
yeah. Contributed, yeah.
you being able to complete the PhD program successfully.
Yeah.
So you called it a success. So why was it a success?
I call it a success because I made it to the finish line. Because I've met people who came here and they left without accomplishing what they came for.
Okay.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And at one point, I also had the same feeling. I felt like, no, this is too much. This is too hard. Like, will I really make it to the end? It was really challenging along the way, but I looked back and I assessed my life, how far I've come from, the number of challenges I've gone through, what sort of disappointment will I take back home to my family, especially my brother who's given up so much for me to get where I am today. And all this kept pushing me. And like I said, the friends who I met here as well, they kept supporting me and telling me like, you have the capability to do it. My family very, very supportive, kept pushing me, pushing me, pushing me. My mother-in-law helps even with my university work sometimes. I run into failure after failure in the lab. She's not a chemist, but she'll call me and tell me, okay, let's run through it. What did you do? How did you do it? Why don't you do it this way?
Wow.
There's a time she even used an onion to help me like figure out the challenges I was facing. And through that analogy of an onion, like trying to explain to me, okay, this is maybe what you're trying to do. How about you do it this way and this way? Then I was like, okay. So she had a way to open up my mind and see things differently from a different perspective. So all this really helped me to get where by graduating finally with a very high GPA.
Wow.
I graduated, was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, I call that a success.
Wow.
Being able to make it. I was able to publish very good papers, 6 papers by the time I was done. So I believe all this will play a crucial role in my journey after this, where I go now, moving back to the UK to look for work. I start my career. Like finally, I'm like, I don't think I want to study anymore now. Now it's time to put my study to a real life application to help bring some positive change to the world through the work I was doing in the lab.
So you got a high GPA and you published 6 papers. So I'm not familiar with the paper. So how do you determine the success of paper? Like, is it better if you publish more, like more recognized journal or something?
For me, or maybe for us, I would say for most researchers, the way they look at it is one, the journal you publish in. So if you publish in high journals, well recognized journals, that's a success as a researcher. And then in that journal, the impact factor, like every paper has a impact factor. They are rated based on how good they are. So it was in very good impact factors, and they were all European journals. So like I felt like that was a good way like to push myself to the next stage now, the career stage, whereby the employers can be able to see the work you did and know like this is a quality piece of work. Because most employers do not have time to read your thesis, but they can just go online and Google your paper and find your paper there. And they have brief summary and see, okay, this is the amount of work you did, this is the amount of skills you have, and that can help them be able to match you up with, with the role they want to give you.
So if you publish at a uh, more recognized, more
Yeah.
reputable one,
Hmm.
there's a higher chance that you're going to be hired by a better company. So, and that's what happened, right? You.
Yeah. You try the best to publish the best journals. Then now when you're applying jobs, I have more confidence in the application, more confidence in the interviews that I'll potentially get in the near future.
Mm,
Mm.
I see. So, what's your plan for the future? You're looking for a job, or
Yeah, the plan now is to start looking for a job, preferably research institute, where I can be able now to do whatever I was doing in the lab scale, but now in a much commercial scale, a scaled up version. Because I was working on batteries, like renewable energy type storage, and that's where I feel like the world is moving towards. You're moving towards a more greener world. So I feel like that was a good field to venture into. And yeah, hopefully in the far future, go back to Kenya, be a lecturer there, start my own company there, help transform lives by doing something different, something new.
oh, that's great. So you're looking forward to getting a job in the UK and
Get more experience, then finally move back home.
go back home.
Yeah.
And
Home will always be home. East or west, home is always best.
you're gonna teach there at the
Yeah.
university level.
Mm-hmm. Pass the same knowledge I got from the good professors I had, transform the same to others, teach others. There's always, I think, there's a joy in passing knowledge to others.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're going to go back where you used to farm, and you're gonna teach there, and probably
Yep.
you're gonna do
Mm-hmm.
the farming on the side.
And the good thing about like a professor job, you always have enough time to do your own things on the side.
Yeah.
Because it's not a full-time job that you have to do there. You do your 1, 2 classes, you can have your farm there, you continue doing your thing. Yeah, farming will always be on the back of my mind,
Wow.
something to retire to.
Wow.
Mm.
Well, thank you, David. I've been tremendously blessed and
Thank
very
you.
inspired, and I'm I'll continue to pray for you
Thank you.
and hope everything is packed just right so you can move with everything that you have packed.
Yeah, that's the plan. After this, now is I finish clearing the house, then yeah, on Sunday we are on the flight back to UK.
Wow.
Mm.
Let's keep in touch.
We'll definitely do. Definitely do. Thank you very much for your friendship for the time we shared here.
Wow.
We'll definitely keep in touch.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciated it.
It was as powerful as any BBC video. So
Hmm?
it was awesome. It was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, David.
Bye. Bye.
I'll attend my Chinese class.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Yeah. You too. Safe travel.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.